Hi, this is Patel. In this lecture, we are going to understand the method to solve the numericals based on the shear stress. You will also be able to solve the numericals or any applications that requires the calculation of the shear stress. So let's get started with the first data that is available over here on your screen. You will see that the simply supported beam is the beam which contains two supports at its end of the span 10 meter. That means its length is 10 meter, having the rectangular cross section. That means they have provided the shape of the cross section. If let's say in any data they do not provide the cross section shape, then by default we assume that the shape of the cross section is rectangular. But right now they have mentioned it, so you don't have to assume it. So rectangular cross section dimensions are also provided, and those dimensions are 150 mm wide and 300 mm deep. So 150 is our small b and 300 is our small d, subjected to a uniformly distributed load of 20 kilonewton per meter. So uniformly distributed load value is also given 20 kilonewton per meter. If you want to calculate the total load, then you need to multiply the total distance, and the total distance, that means the total length of the beam, that is nothing but the 10 meter. Compute the values of the maximum shear stress and bending stress produced in the beam. So they want us to calculate the shear stress value as well as the bending stress value that are being generated in the beam due to uniformly distributed load. So let's first of all just draw our diagram. So you will see a simply supported beam with 10 meter length and UDL on entire length, along with its cross section of the rectangular shape. Now the first step is maximum bending stress. So if in order to find out the maximum bending stress, we need to find out the maximum bending moment first of all. So as this is the case of the uniformly distributed load over the simply supported beam, we know that maximum bending moment can be calculated using this formula of WL square by 8. Instead of W, we will be putting the value as a 20, and L is our length. Length is in a meter, so 10 meter square divided by 8 as it is. So we will get the answer in terms of the kilonewton into meter. But we know that we need to convert this answer in terms of the Newton into mm. That's why we just multiplied it with the 10⁶ Newton into mm. So this is our maximum bending moment for the case of the particular uniformly distributed load. Another thing that we require is the cross section dimensions, like moment of inertia of the cross section and y distance. So first of all, we are calculating the I value that can be calculated using the BD cube by 12. That is very well known formula for the rectangular shape. B is 150 and D is 300 divided by 12 will give us the answer in terms of the mm⁴. Similarly, we need to find out the distance y. How will we be able to find out this distance y? Y is this much distance. So if total distance is 300 mm, then y distance is going to be half of 300, that is 150 mm. This is our y distance. Now we put all this value in our basic equation of bending stress. Here F is represented as the bending stress. The only thing that is unknown in this equation is F. The rest of the things that we have calculated, or also it has been given. So we are just making the F as a subject and calculate the value of the bending stress that is being generated in our section. Now we are going to show the bending stress distribution diagram. So how can we show the bending stress distribution diagram? The maximum bending stress value will be at the top and at the bottom. Both the values will be the same, of 111.1 Newton per mm square. At the neutral axis, the value will be equals to 0. So we are, on either side, we have taken the positive, and here we have taken the negative. So this is how we have explained the bending stress distribution diagram. Now we will move forward for the calculation of maximum shear stress. So as you can see on your screen, that maximum shear stress calculation can be done by calculating the reaction first. So all you have to do is to find out the reaction. But here in this particular diagram, the beam is loaded symmetrically. So we can find out the reactions equally, and the reactions can be found out by dividing the total load by 2. So the total load is nothing but the W into L. W is 20, L is 10. So this is our total load divided by 2 will give us the answer in terms of the reactions, that is Ra and Rb equals to 100 kilonewton. Now the maximum shear force can be taken as any one, Ra or Rb, because the maximum value or the value of both the reactions are the same. So any value can be taken as the maximum value. So F is equals to 100 kilonewton that we have taken right now. In most of the examples, they will provide the direct value of F, but if it is not provided, then we can calculate the value of F from the reactions. Next thing that you required is AY bar from the cross section. So A is the area of the cross section. And what is the area of the cross section? Area is nothing but the 150 by 150. But we are focusing only the area above the neutral axis. Only the area above the neutral axis. So we need this much vertical distance and this much horizontal distance. So these two distance are 150 each. So 150, and we need a Y bar. What is Y bar? Y bar is the centroid of the shaded area and distance between the centroid and neutral axis. This is our distance. So this is exactly the half of the 150. This will give us the answer in terms of 75. So if you put all this value and calculate the final answer, then it will be like this in terms of meter mm raised to 3. Now we have each and every parameter required to calculate the shear stress. By simply putting all these values into the equation of the shear stress, tau max equals to FA y bar upon IE. F is already calculated as 100 kilonewton. A y bar is already taken from this calculation, and I is the moment of inertia that we have calculated in the previous slide, directly 337.5 into 10 raised to 6. B is the width of the rectangular shape, that is 150. Putting all this value into simplification, we will get the final answer of tau max equals to 3.33 Newton per mm square. Now we know that for the rectangular cross section, the shear stress distribution can be represented by the semicircle like this. In the semicircle, we need to mention the maximum shear stress that is 3.33 as per our calculation. So this is how we complete our example. This was the one type of example. Now we will move forward for another example where you will be required to dig in or calculate a lot of data. So let's get started with the data that is provided in our example. So first of all, a cast iron bracket subjected to bending. They have mentioned that there is a bracket which is subjected to bending, has the cross section shape of I shape with unequal flanges as shown in a figure. So the figure is already provided, you don't have to draw your figure, but dimensions are given as 250 on the upper side and 150 on the lower side. So both the flanges are of different dimensions. The depth of the web is 250 and thickness of the flanges are 50. If the compressive shear stress in the top flange is not to exceed 17.5 megapascal, what is the bending moment? The section can take? So we need to find out the bending moment that the section can take. So first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to use the bending moment concept or bending stress equation in order to calculate this answer. Then another question is also asked that if the section is subjected to a shear force of 100 kilonewton, draw the shear stress distribution over the depth of the section. So whenever this type of example is asked, there are multiple questions will be there in our data, and you will be required to calculate the answer of both the questions. So first of all, let's get started. They have given us the compressive stress of 17.5 megapascal and the shear force of 100 kilonewton. Now let us find out the Y bar. Y bar is required because the flanges are of uneven dimensions. If it were the symmetrical section, then we would directly find out the Y bar by dividing the total depth by 2. But right now the Y bar is not as simple as it seems. You need to find out the Y bar by concept of the centroid. So Y bar can be calculated by A1 Y1 plus A2 Y2 plus A3 Y3 upon A1 plus A2 plus A3. What is A1? A1 is the area of the upper triangle. Upper triangle means this is our upper triangle. Y1 is the distance from the centroid of upper triangle and the reference axis from the bottom. Similarly, if you put all this value of each and every section, then you will be able to calculate the distance Y bar. So Y bar is calculated as 198 mm. Now we need to find out the center of gravity from the upper extreme fiber. So upper extreme, this is our Y bar. Let's say it is a 198. That means 300 and 200 would be over here. So here would be our Y bar distance. This is our Y bar distance. And we need to find out Y distance. So what is the Y distance? Y distance is nothing but the this much distance from the upper fiber up to the neutral axis, YC. That can be calculated from 350 minus 198. This will give us the answer as a 152. Moment of inertia. Moment of inertia can be calculated for the I section using this basic formula of Ig plus AH square. Ig plus AH square for the section 1 plus Ig plus AH square for section 2, and similarly for section 3 will give us the answer in terms of the 502 into 10 raised to 6 mm raised to 4. Now we have each and everything that we require to calculate the bending moment. We know the equation, that is M by I equals to sigma C by Y. Sigma C by Y. This is the basic equation. So if you make the subject M, then you will get this equation sigma C upon YC into I. Y M by sigma C upon YC into I. Then you will get the final answer of the bending moment in terms of 57.8 into 10 raised to 6. So this is our bending moment that has been asked in our question. Now we will move forward for the calculation of the shear stress. So as you can see, the shear stress can be calculated using the area and a Y bar value. So area of the above neutral axis is 250 into 50, and Y bar can be calculated by 152 minus 50 by 2. Okay, so we will put all this value in our equation of shear stress, FA Y bar upon IB. Putting all this value over here will give us the answer in terms of 1.26 Newton per mm square. Now this shear stress at the junction suddenly increases from 126 megapascal to 126 into 250 into divided by 50. So this is the 6.3 answer that we are getting at the junction point. Now let us find out the shear stress at the junction of the lower flange. So at the lower flange also we are taking this AY bar and B according to our lower fringe data. Then shear stress at the junction can be calculated using the same equation, only the distance will be different and AY bar data would be different. The rest of the data is the same, but the bottom flange is of the width 150, that is going to be different from the upper flange. So put all this value and you will get the answer as a 1.72 megapascal. Again, suddenly it increases from 1.72 to 5.16 megapascal. So finally, we need to calculate the maximum shear stress at the neutral axis. So at the neutral axis, we need to find out the AY bar separately. So AY bar has been calculated as 1.848 into 10 raised to 6 and B is 50 megapascal. So if you put all this value for the calculation of maximum shear stress using the same equation, then you will simplify this answer in terms of the 7.36 megapascal. So we got all the data that is required. Now it is time to plot this data in our diagram. So we have studied in the previous lecture that for the I section, the shear stress distribution diagram would look like this. But at this diagram, you need 4 values. This value, this much, this one, and these 2 values. And we have already calculated these 4 values in our calculation, from which we are able to draw this diagram for the I section shaped beam. So this is how we completed our lecture. Similarly, in your examination, they can ask you for the shape of the T section or H section. The method remains the same. All you have to remember is the shape of the shear stress distribution diagram. If you know the shape of the shear stress distribution diagram, you will be able to calculate the values at the crucial point, and using those values, you will be able to draw the shear stress distribution easily. So with this, we conclude our lecture and our chapter of shear stress. In the upcoming session, we will start a new topic. Till then, thank you.